It's a revolution in health. It really is. Instead of using drugs to manage symptoms, now people can actually get cured of their ailments. And thousands are, my friends. Thousands of people are going against conventional wisdom and healing themselves of ailments, many of which were told that they were just going to have to deal with it the rest of their lives and take medication. Is that crazy or what? So medication doesn't heal anything. All at best it manages symptoms, and at worst it makes things worse. Hello, my friends. Doing another update for this week on what's going on. And as I've been reading a lot on the forums and listening to what people have to say, it kind of struck me as people have an excuse on why they can't do almost anything. Or I should say, people have excuses on why they can't do almost anything. Oh, well, that's good for you, but I can't do that because enter the blank. I just wanted to say that, and the other thing is people think that this is a fad diet or a weight loss fad, that type of thing, and it's really not. This is the proper human diet, and weight loss and healing your body, and weight loss is a side effect of eating a proper human diet. And that's one of the important things that I wanted to emphasize. Now, I've lost 46 pounds already, and I've had a couple of stalls, and I also even gained a couple pounds once, but I've lost that again. And probably that is just from building muscle. But weight loss is not always constant. It'll be over time, your body's going to heal and go to where it's supposed to be. I've done a video on we're not supposed to get old, and I'm feeling 10 years younger. Anyways, back to people making excuses. I mean, until you make a decision and decide that you're going to do this, and this is what I've had to do, and I've made excuses throughout my life too. I've done keto at least 3 or 4 times, maybe more. I did the original Atkins diet and so on. And, it's the carbs, dummy. You got to get rid of those carbs if you want to do carnivore. But again, this is not a fad diet. This is a way of eating, and it's easier than you think. And it seems like a bridge too far, I guess, when you're enthralled on carbohydrates, which we all are or were. I was certainly. And I say this often, or I post it on the forums and so on. People just don't get it, I guess, until they've become fat adapted at some point. And people can still fall back. I mean, we have these psychological cravings that we want to be like everybody else, We want to go along with the herd. Luckily for me, I have never been a herd animal very much, Yeah, I've succumbed to the peer pressure just like everybody else to some degree or another, but that's not, some people more so than others. That's not my way. I've always been a contrarian, a rebel, whatever you want to call it. It got me in a lot of trouble when I was a kid. But if you're considering trying this, and you can think of it as, just another fad diet. I used to think of it, that's that thing that people need to eat if they have diverticulosis or ulceritis or Crohn's disease or anything like that. But it's not. It's actually a proper human diet. Folks, red meat is the most nutrient-rich food on the planet. And it doesn't cause cancer, and it doesn't cause colon cancer and heart attacks and all the things that we've been taught that it does. And high cholesterol is not what causes heart attacks. It can, if you've eaten a carb, it can contribute if you've eaten a carb-centric diet all your life and you have plaque in your arteries. Then a bunch of cholesterol could be a problem in restricted arteries, but it's not because of the cholesterol that the arteries are restricted. It's because of carbohydrates, my friends. The body needs cholesterol. It's one of the main building blocks of the body for just about everything, especially the brain. Lack of cholesterol, low cholesterol, contributes to dementia and Alzheimer's and all that kind of stuff. So, and they want to put you on a statin if you're older. Statins are a deadly poison and they're dangerous. I'm just going to say it. So people can dispute that, but more and more doctors are realizing that and not promoting statins. So whatever your excuse is, or excuses are, I would say examine them carefully. And why are you doing that? And I get it, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with you or what have you, because I've had all those same problems and still do on some cases. But I just woke up and realized I needed to do something, or I was going to just get old and decrepit like everybody else does. And like I said, I've always been a contrarian or a rebel, if you will. So I woke up one morning and said, no, I'm not going to accept that. And so, being the researcher that I am, I always research everything to death. I decided I was going to figure out how to reverse my biological age. And it's working, my friends. I feel 10 years younger already. I have a ways to go. I have some more weight to lose, more fat, I should say. Again, I'm not doing this strictly for weight loss. Yeah, that's an extra added bonus, of course. I'm doing it for a quality of life. I eat now for health, not for enjoyment or for social gatherings and stuff. And that's not to say that I can't enjoy a good meal or a steak, or bacon and eggs. I love bacon and eggs and so on. And I've become fat adapted, and so I don't have any cravings for carbohydrates anymore. And it's easy for me to avoid them when I'm around them. And that was never the case when I was doing keto, because as I said in my last video, keto keeps enough carbs in you to keep all those neural pathways lit up in your brain, and you crave, the things that you're used to, that you grew up with, the sugar and the carbs, the pizza, the pastries, whatever it is, the chocolate and so on, because of the sugar. Chocolate tastes pretty nasty without the sugar. I've tasted it before. And I've liked cacao nibs and things like that before, or grinded it in coffee or whatever, and it probably wouldn't, if you were going to have some of that, it probably wouldn't be that bad. But now I just put salt in my coffee and it tastes wonderful. Salt and butter. I guess what I'm trying to get at is I want people to understand that you can do this, that this is a lifestyle. It's not just a fad diet. And the body, once it's eating a proper human diet, adapts tremendously, heals all that ails you pretty much, makes you feel better and able to do the things that you weren't able to do if you're my age. And if you're younger, better to start younger. There's many athletes now that are starting to do this. There's been studies on it. Dr. Anthony Chafee has several videos on high performance athletes going to Carnivore and the benefits, weightlifters and so on. And so it's a revolution in health. It really is. Instead of using drugs to manage symptoms, now people can actually get cured of their ailments. And thousands are, my friends. Thousands of people are going against conventional wisdom and healing themselves of ailments, many of which were told that they were just going to have to deal with it the rest of their lives and take medication. Is that crazy or what? So medication doesn't heal anything. At best, it manages symptoms, and at worst, it makes things worse. Like statins. Statins are one of the main causes of dementia and Alzheimer's and cognitive problems in elderly people, because it reduces cholesterol, which is needed. The brain needs cholesterol and high fat. The brain uses a lot of energy. Millions of people are suffering needlessly, and that's why I'm doing these videos. That's why I'm documenting my journey. And I'm just one amongst many who are sounding the alarm, so to speak, or delivering the good news, I should say. It's not the alarm, it's good news. The good news, folks, is you can heal from all your maladies. People who've had triple bypasses and so on and so forth are eating carnivore, my friends. Contrary to what most doctors would tell you. Dr. Ken Berry, Dr. Chafee, Dr. Westman, Dr. Boz, Dr. Sean Baker, and others, Dr. Tony Hampton. These people are, these medical professionals are promoting the carnivore keto diet for healing because it works. It works, my friends. I've lost a bunch of weight. I have some weight to go, but it's fat. I'm starting to, I can actually see some of my stomach muscles starting to come through the fat. I still have a layer of fat there, but I can't say it enough. I hope I don't sound pushy or preachy. I probably do to some people. I've been known to do that. But I'm just telling you what I've learned and what's working for me and what's working for thousands of people. Of course, it's up to you to look into it to yourself. But when thousands of people are being healed of just about every malady under the sun, isn't it worth at least looking into, my friends? Especially if you're suffering. And I hold my tongue quite a bit around people who are suffering because I don't want to be pushy. If I get an opportunity, I'll mention it. And if they immediately reject it as, that's crazy or whatever, then I try to shut up about it. But if people ask me, I'll talk about it. And I mainly talk about what's working for me. But go on YouTube and look up Mimi Morgan. Look up her story. That's one of many. Carrie Mann, he's the one who's making the documentary it's called Healing Humanity, and it's finally finished, and it's going to be out now pretty soon. And his story is incredible. And there's other, they've highlighted, I think about 60 different people in the documentary, and several doctors, the ones of which I have mentioned, are in it. And they're going to be talking about this, and this is going to hopefully help people realize that there is a way to heal out there that they can do, and it's easier than it sounds. Yeah, you need to do your research and do some study on it, and everybody's a little bit different, but for the most part, it works on just about everything. Even type 2 diabetes can be reversed. People with type 1 diabetes are on the carnivore diet, and they're saying it's way easier now to manage that diabetes. So as far as I know, that hasn't been able to be reversed, but people have been able to lower their insulin, and they're saying it's much easier to manage their diabetes than ever before in their life. That it's changed their life, and that's the big thing. It's changed so many people's lives, my friends. Anyways, no more excuses. That was one of my. I mentioned that in my last video. But whenever you catch yourself saying that won't work for me, smack yourself. And do the research. We're in the information age now. We've got the internet and AI now, and AI can search and bring up information faster than everything. And yeah, you still have to discern, and look at both sides of things. But too many people now, thousands of people now, are being healed with carnivore. There's something going on. All right, my friends. Peace out.